So Pokemon Sun and Moon has now released virtually worldwide on the 18th of November. Nintendo, for some reason, is not releasing it in the UK until the 23rd of November, which is still several days away from the time of recording.
I mean, that's a whole 5 days from the original release date.
It's crazy. But basically, we're going to whiz through our first impressions of the game, and we're also going to go through the reviews. It has been scoring really, really well, even for a Pokemon game. I mean, Pokemon games can be quite divisive amongst the critics, but this one is almost exclusively unanimously liked. We've got a couple of perfect scores from Digital Spy and Nintendo Life. They both say that it's basically the best game, the best Pokemon game that Game Freak has ever produced. Hobby Consolers, 97 out of 100, 95 out of 100 from God is a Geek. US Gamer gave it 90%. In fact, we've got a whole load of 90%, so I'll just run through them. US Gamer, Yahoo, Stevie Vore, Destructoid, Game Rant, Fandom Online, RPG site, The Daily Dot, Eurogamer Italy, because they're not too cool for scores yet, unlike ours. Spazio Games, Metro Game Central, they said it's the best Pokemon game yet. This is a very common thing. A lot of the outlets are saying it's the best one yet. IGN, 90%. Then we've got a few scores that it just dropped into the 80s. Polygon, who were probably holding the 3DS the wrong way around.
Quite interesting though is Nintendo Enthusiast only gave it 85%, where you would have thought for a specific Nintendo website they'd be a bit more positive towards it.
Well, you can find with publisher-specific websites can go one of two ways. Either they can be, yay, everything Publisher X does is fantastic, or they can be ultra-critical because they're so ensconced in everything to do with that publisher. So they will probably be ultra-hardcore Pokemon fanboys. A lot of the newspapers, the Telegraph gave it 80%. We've got Games Radar Plus, GameSpot, CG Magazine, F Nintendo. I wonder if that's like F Society. Probably not. And the one aberration amongst all of this is the increasingly hilarious Guardian, which gave it 60%. I believe their score was 3 out of 5, but their review of it was so bizarre. I mean, it starts off with a paragraph that manages to crowbar in the political events of 2016, because that's really relevant to a Pokemon game.
Absolutely.
And yeah, they punctuate the review with screenshots from the anime rather than from the actual game. I wonder whether they just sat down. I wonder if they just sat down with the box set and they said, "Are you sure this is the game?" I was like, yeah, that's the game. Yeah, it's not very interactive. Okay, whatever. But anyway, let's talk about our own thoughts. Anyway, I mean, first of all, the new region is absolutely superb.
No, it's absolutely stunning. Apart from all for people in open t-shirts and stuff, which is a bit. Well, I suppose it is Hawaii, but.
Okay, so yeah, you've got a bit of a problem with the fashion. I must say that the weird fashion is an element. I mean, I'm just going to talk about the region first, though. I mean, Game Freak have said, often Pokemon games are based on regions of Japan. They have started to travel overseas a little bit more. This one is based on Hawaii. For people like us who live in England, which is basically a shithole in terms of climate, and in most other things, actually, just playing a game where you can be in this beautiful, sunny, tropical place is just a pleasure. It's what you want from that kind of game, really. But to bring in your point about fashion, it's not. I mean, the fashion doesn't seem to be Hawaiian fashion. It seems to be a sort of.
The new villain Team Scar, I think it is, look like LA Gangsters, you were saying earlier.
They do look like, LA Gangsters, if there was like a chibi, a kindergarten LA Gangsters, and that's kind of what they look like.
Maybe from the 80s or 70s.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because it's probably 10% Hawaiian, but 90% weird Japanese lens. So you've got all these characters and these weird sort of jogging bottoms with the, the cling on below the knee and all that. And you got Professor, whatever his name is, with his white coat on over a bare chest. It's very odd. It's very Japanese. I mean, I love Japanese culture and all of that, and I watch a lot of anime, so I'm used to that kind of thing, but it is quite odd when you have it for a long period of time in the game. The new movement system is an improvement. This is the first game that has a true 360, a true analog, I suppose, control scheme rather than the north, south, east, west type thing.
I think Pokemon X and Y had a similar movement system as well. I think then it went back a step for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
I think X and Y was quasi. I think it was made to look as though it's analog, but it was actually...
It wasn't full, it was just more in that direction.
Yeah, this is the first one that fully embraces the full analog controls, and it feels a lot smoother as a result of that. Now, something that the game has been criticised for is its slow start. I think there's two perspectives can be taken on that, though. I mean, on the one hand, I can understand how people who have played every Pokemon game and who are really into them all may get a bit impatient when they have to basically do an hour-long tutorial again. But on the other hand, I think from playing the early parts of this game, I think this is actually probably the best entry point into Pokemon.
Yeah, I'd agree. I've also read in a few places that some hardcore Pokemon fans have said there's a bit too much hand-holding throughout the game, which obviously we can't comment on yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about later on in the game, but again, it's a really difficult subject because on the one hand, I understand when gamers moan about games being dumbed down, but on the other hand, I'm a big fan of games being accessible, and I think as long as you have some kind of a choice. So I don't know whether you can switch off a hand-holding is or whether it is overly intrusive. So as you said, until we've played.
I think some of the ultra hardcores though are almost complaining that there's not as much grinding in it, which for us people, that is crazy. And I think if there is less grinding, that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I hate the grinding. I mean, and that's one of the things that I've pointed out. I would have liked more changes. You pointed out actually that some of you liked the changes, but you would have preferred changes in other areas, didn't you?
Yeah, they've sort of made it out that they've took away and they've made massive changes, but they've not made massive changes necessarily for right areas.
Yeah, so
like
for example,
about for trials instead of for gyms. I mean, it's a change, but it's still along the same sort of lines.
Yeah, a lot of the reviews like getting rid of the gyms. I think you're a little bit on the fence about trials instead of gyms, though, because you're a big fan of gyms, aren't you?
Yeah, well, it's difficult to tell without obviously playing the game yet, or playing the full game yet. But I think maybe the battles could have been done up a gear, and maybe the story could have been a lot more immersive and stuff like that. I know people be like, oh, it's a Pokemon game. But yes, it's a 21st century, 2016 Pokemon game.
This is the thing. I mean, where is the proper I want a proper online mode in one of these games. And it makes me so sad. I've said this before about Pokemon games. When I played Pokemon Red and Blue back in the day, all those years ago, I thought this will be the most amazing game in a few sequels from now. Because especially as, in the late 90s, online gaming was becoming a thing. And I thought, wow, an online version of this will just blow me away. And here we are, 20 years later, and I'm still waiting.
I think what some of these changes are, they're trying to say, oh, look, we're not doing the same old formula over and over again anymore.
Yeah.
But they've just put a few smoke and mirrors in front of it.
I think that's a really, really good point, actually. I've criticised a lot of the last few Pokemon games for basically being the same game as Pokemon Red and Blue, just with a slightly different story and slightly different characters and a whole new generation of worse Pokemon. And it has virtually been the same game. This is the first one that does make a few substantive changes, but still not enough. I mean, we've still got the random battles in there. This would probably be a really unpopular opinion, but I hate the random battles. I'd much rather see an actual Pokemon running around the grass and to go up to it if I want to fight it, or to just avoid it if I don't. I hate the whole fact that you've got to walk through you've got to march around grass and hope that the right Pokemon. I don't like that. I have a limited amount of time that I can put into games. I wish that weren't true, but it is. And I want to basically be my gaming sessions to be efficient. And when I spend half an hour marching around grass because I'm after one particular Pokemon or because I'm grinding up, I don't view that as a good gaming session.
I've also read that the story could have been a lot better. Apparently, it's a good story, but just lacks certain something.
Pokemon games have never really been narratively that strong, to be honest. I mean, I've played a good few of them. I can't really remember the story from any of them.
No, I'd agree, and I think that's another thing they really have to fix to justify how 21st century it needs to become.
And also, I recently read Game Freak's excuse for still not giving the Pokemon proper cries. Because, I mean, it's obviously trying to make the game more like the anime, but they seem to be doing that in every way, but actually with the Pokemon. Weirdly and slightly jarringly, Pikachu sounds just like he does from the anime, so he goes Pika, Pika, Pikachu, etc. That was my Pikachu impression, by the way. But all the rest of them just do this weird, low-res, like someone's wanking off a sheep. And it's so incongruous with everything. I mean, as I said, we're 20 years later, and we've still got these really peculiarly low-res, low-budget. And Game Freak's excuse was pure bullshit. What they should have said was, we're not doing the proper Pokemon cries because we can't be fucking bothered. And
it's also the same with about 80% of battle moves, which are just the same for whatever Pokemon does them. Well, I'd like to see a bit more varied depending on which Pokemon actually does the attack.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. So when we do publish our final review of this, I would be surprised if it's a low mark, and I would be equally as surprised if it was 100%. If that, I already know it's not going to be 100% because I've played enough of the game to know that it's not. But it's definitely going to be a fantastic game. I think I'm safe in saying that, even though I've not played a massive amount of it. I know enough about the game to know that I am going to really enjoy it. But as you say, as hardcore Pokemon fans, there are certainly areas that we wish had been focused on a little more.
Pokemon is almost like, in a way, obviously not yearly, but reminds me of how FIFA works.
Yeah, sort of iterative updates, or I know what people like saying is evolution rather than revolution. I don't think we're going to see a Pokemon Revolution anytime soon. Pokemon Go was supposed to be that, but when we reviewed Pokemon Go, it was pretty apparent that that was a bit of an empty shell, and I think the drop-off in player numbers has reflected that to a large extent.
I quite like how they've changed some of the existing Generation 1 Pokemon. Like, across the islands, like, one has a longer neck, and then I think the Firefox is an Ice Fox on one island. But, I think they got that idea from Darwin and all that. I think it's an interesting thought. Is it more than a gimmick? It'll be interesting.
No, I agree with that. I would rather that, to be honest. I've been quite against them introducing a generation of Pokemon.
I think there is a new generation as well, which doesn't look for worse to me. It doesn't look as worse or as bad as Black and White's.
I wish they wouldn't do that, because they ran out of Pokemon ideas about 5 games ago, and I really, really want. I mean, I love the original generation. As you probably know, I could once actually recite all of them and their numbers.
Oh, I bet those were the days.
Yeah, those are the days. But then they kept changing them, so I thought, well, fuck that. But it's I like the idea of modifying the existing Pokemon, especially the better them. And as you say,
it's different. They've made a few different modifications depending on what island you're on. As well.
And as you say, the whole Darwinism and evolution is actually quite a nice
clever gimmick idea.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, guys, if you live anywhere other than the UK and have therefore played Pokemon Sun and Moon more than us, then do let us know what you think of it in the comments below. We'll hopefully be having a full review of this fairly shortly. Until then, do please hit the like and subscribe buttons. That really helps us out. Lots more ParallaxLive.com. Thanks ever so much for watching. We'll catch you guys in the next video.